What's good, guys? Welcome back to the video. Today we got what if Deku was the reincarnation of Naruto and Sasuke. So basically, I'm sorry for not uploading. I kind of got grounded, but while I was trying to do the 3 uploads a day, I realized that would be too hard. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to be doing 2 uploads a day. Hopefully that's alright. But or actually for the next 3 weeks, because I basically missed a week of uploading. So for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be doing double uploads, so I hope you guys enjoy that. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, what if Deku was the reincarnation of Naruto and Sasuke, part 3? Alright, so, after Deku defeated the Nomu in the USJ, he was praised for his actions, but after that, everyone was sent home with escorts. I know that it happened in Canada, I just kind of forgot, so that's what's happening. So, after Deku got near his house, the escorts let him go, and he was walking to his house. So, after he got to his house, Deku would arrive home, and his mom wouldn't be there. He'd see a note on the fridge saying, "I went to go get groceries, I'll be back soon." So, now that he knows she's gone, he decides to just sleep because it's been an extremely long day and definitely hell of a workout. So, Deku would go to sleep, and then he'd wake up in the morning. He'd be like, "Oh crap, I missed dinner," but he wouldn't really mind. So, he'd get dressed, and he'd be on his way back to the school. While he's on his way to UA, he hears something rattling behind the trees. You see where that fence is right there? You have that fence right there? Yeah, there's like kind of a forest type thing behind there. So yeah, that's where he hears it from. So he hears it behind the trees, but he just thinks it's like a squirrel or raccoon or something, so he just leaves it alone. So once he arrives at class 1A, so after he arrives, Aizawa says it's going to be an early release day today, and today's the last day of school, and they have a week break. And he says he also has another announcement. He says that there will be around 7 to 9 transfer students coming to class 1A. Everyone's extremely surprised because that's like 30 students, like 30-something students in one class, which is a lot. But yeah, I forgot to mention, but also there was an announcement where people didn't have to wear uniforms anymore, but they still had a uniform. So after this, everyone's surprised, and he also says there will be a few new teachers coming to the school. Everyone's still surprised, but yeah. So they do all their classes, and Deku goes home. So while he's walking home, he hears that same thing in the trees. So this time he decides to investigate it. He would see 2 boys in this small open area of trees. One boy appears to make a plus sign with his fingers. Then there'd be 20 clones of him. And then each of them would start charging up a wind ball or Sengon in their hands. Izuku would be surprised by this, extremely surprised, because he thought he was the only person with Chakra. But he thinks it might just be a quirk. So, after he does this, he hears the other boy say, "Oh, what a drag. Come on, Naruto, do we really have to train out here all day? We've literally been out here all day. And we did this yesterday too. It's just a big drag." Naruto's like, "Yeah, Shikamaru, we do. We have to get stronger, right?" "Yeah, wait, who are Izuku Midoriya. Oh, okay. I'm Shikamaru Nara. Is that Naruto Uzumaki? Deku would be surprised by this because, as he knows, one of the people he's reincarnated from is named Naruto Uzumaki. And he's heard mentions of Shikamaru Nara here and there, but not a lot. So he'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But he did recall hearing the first time he met them that they were from a different universe. So his immediate thought was maybe this universe is them, but didn't really want to think too hard about it. But he would ask them, what are they doing here? And Naruto would say, oh, me and Shikamaru here, we're just training. We're trying to get stronger for the kids in the way. Deku would remember that Mr. Aizawa said that there was going to be around 7 to 9 transfer students. So Deku would be like, wait, you're the transfer students coming to class 1A? Naruto and Shikamaru would be like, how'd you know that? Naruto would be like, oh, well, I'm a class 1A student. Naruto would be like, oh, cool. Can you tell us about class 1A? I want to know what my peers are going to be like. I don't really want to know. It's just going to be a drag sitting here and listening to you. So Deku would be like, oh, that's alright. And he'd explain to Naruto what the class is like. Naruto would be like, oh, that's amazing. I heard about the villain attack. Are you guys okay? Deku would be like, yeah, I was able to defeat the Nomu. Naruto would be like, what's a Nomu? Deku would explain to him the type of thing it was, but also that he doesn't know entirely what it is. Naruto would be amazed. Shikamaru would be slightly interested, but not a lot. But after this, they part ways, and after this, Shikamaru wants to go home. Deku asks before Shikamaru leaves, Deku asks what his quirk is. Shikamaru says, my quirk is shadow manipulation. I can manipulate shadows. Sometimes to control people, but it's whatever. And after this, Shikamaru leaves. So after Shikamaru leaves, Deku would then ask what Naruto's quirk is. Naruto would say, oh, my quirk is one clone. I can basically make clones that look exactly like me and are physical like me that can concentrate wind energy into my hands to make a wind ball. And Deku would think, that sounded a lot like Rasengan. He'd ask Naruto Deku would say, oh, have you made up a name for it yet? Naruto would say, no, not yet, but I have made up a name for my wind clones after Shikamaru. Naruto would be like, Deku would be like, oh, cool, what is it? Naruto would say, oh, it's called a shadow clone. Deku would just be like very, very surprised because he has an extremely similar technique that is also called a shadow clone. He's like, oh, well, I think I might have a name for your wind ball thing. And Naruto's like, oh, really? You haven't even seen it. Yeah, but I've heard about it, and I think I might have a name. Naruto says, okay, what is it? What about Rasengan? Naruto's like, oh, awesome. That sounds like a really cool name. How'd you come up with it? Well, I have a similar technique to it. Naruto's like, wait, what? Show me. So Deku doesn't really need a shadow clone, but he does need to concentrate really hard. So he starts concentrating his one chakra affinity into his hand, making a ball. Naruto's like, that's exactly like my Rasengan. Naruto asks him to plunge it into the tree to see what it does. He does it and he's like, that's the exact same as mine. Naruto makes 2 shadow clones and they start making a Rasengan in his hand. And then he uses on the tree. Then Naruto asks, hey, so Izuku, what's your quirk? Izuku says, My quirk is called Chakra. He's like, okay, what is that? Basically, it's a type of energy I can manipulate to do all sorts of things. Deku's, Naruto's like, oh, amazing. So that's why you can basically use my quirk? Yeah. Deku then makes a shadow clone by using the same symbol. And Naruto asks why he has to use the same symbol. Hey, Izuku, why do you have to use the same symbol as me? Well, it's a way I concentrate my chakra to disperse it. Oh, cool. Is there anything else you can do? Well, kind of, but I don't want to burn the forest down. But there's a couple other things. Naruto says, oh, cool, can you show me? Yeah. Deku then makes a Chidori and runs out of the tree, kind of making basically almost destroying the tree and scorching it. Just enough not to light it on fire. Naruto is amazed by this, and then Deku blasts a fireball into the sky. And after that, he says, I got another jutsu. Fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. And he fired, and after, before this, he, made a paper airplane from the stuff he had in his backpack, and threw it up, and the phoenix flowers were just following it. Naruto is extremely amazed by this. So, yeah. So, after this, Naruto asks why, because Deku does have those, same 3 lines as Naruto does, and Naruto asks how he got him. I don't know, they just, type of scar. No, they're related to my quirk. Oh, okay. Deku realizes he has the same ones. So Deku says, so how did you get yours? Oh, it's just a birthmark. They're just birthmarks. Oh, well, that's cool. Naruto asks if Deku's got any parents, and Deku says, yeah, I wrote a mom, but my dad's out working cross country in a different country just to make money. Oh, that's sad. Deku asks about his parents. Deku says, hey, so what about your parents? Well, my parents died before the day I was born, but hey, it's no matter. Deku says, I'm sorry. Naruto says, no, it's alright. Deku asks where he lives, and Deku says, well, I kind of just stay at my friend's place, and sometimes other friends' place. Then Deku asks, well, if you want, you could stay at my place. I've always had an extra bed for no reason, for a reason that I don't know. Naruto says, really? Deku says, yeah. All I have to do is ask my mom. Naruto's like, sweet. So Deku's like, so you wanna go to my place so we can ask her? Naruto says, yeah, but if she does say yes, I'll have to go tell Shikamaru and his parents that I'm gonna be living at your place from now on. Sure. So, so after this, they start walking to Deku's house. So they're on their way to Deku's house, and Naruto sparks up some conversation. Naruto's like, so, do you have a favorite hero? Deku's like, yeah. Naruto's like, cool, what is it? It's All Might. Oh, All Might, the #1, That's kind of generic, but cool, I guess. Thank you? No problem. So, who's your favorite hero? Mine's kind of multiple, but they all have the same name. And one takes up the mantle after one doesn't. After one either dies or retires. Oh, what's their name? They're called the Hokage. the Hokage. Wait, Deku pulls out his notebook. Aren't they the 13th number hero? The number 13th heroes? The current one is called, his name is Hiruzen, right? No, the current one is kind of old man, right? Yep, you got him. Do you know him? A little bit. Oh, that's cool. I want to be a Hokage. Basically, how they work is when someone gets strong enough and they know the current Hokage, that Hokage has to promote them to the mantle. Oh, okay. Well, this is when they arrive at Deku's house, and Deku says, "Mom, I'm home." Oh, hi, honey. Who's your friend? Well, this is Naruto Uzumaki. Pleasure to meet you. Oh, pleasure to meet you too. Oh, would you like to stay for dinner? Sure. Well, Mom, we have something important to ask you. Yeah, what is it, Izu? I was wondering if, he could stay with us for a while. Why? Well, you see, his parents died the day he was born, and he's been staying with his friend Shikamaru, but his family, his house is pretty small, and they already have three people living there, and there's only 2 bedrooms. And he always has to sleep on the floor. And I figured since I have an extra bed, that maybe he could sleep in that one. Well, I guess just make sure he doesn't cause any trouble, okay? Oh, I won't. Don't worry. Okay. So they have a dinner, and then they end up going into Deku's room. Wow, this is a pretty cool room you got there. You really weren't lying when you said you liked All Might. No, I really like him. He's my hero, and it's also my mentor. Mentor, that's kind of cool. Well, good night. Good night. So, this is when they wake up, and they eat breakfast, and Naruto asks, "Hey, Izuku, you want to go do some training?" Sure. Cool. So, oh, sorry. This is when they go to the training grounds. They're on their way to the training grounds, and then they get there. But they see someone else here, and it's not Shikamaru. It is Shikamaru, but it's also, they see Shikamaru, and they also see 3 other people. Those people are, well, if I can get to it, Naruto's like, I don't know who one of those people are, but Naruto's like, "Oh, hey, Hinata." Hinata's like, "Naruto-ka?" And then, like, her face turns all red, and then she puts her hands over her face, and he's like, "I don't know why her face is so red. She's always scared of me or something. I don't know what I did." Deku kind of knows what's going on, but he doesn't want to ask anything. This is when Shikamaru's like, oh no, this is such a drag. What's a drag, Shikamaru? We got you and your new friend over here. And that's just going to make this training more of a drag. Then Rock Lee's like, no more people will make training. It'll just make the training even better. Come on, let's do laps. And then he just starts like running all around. No, he's handstand running all around. This is when Neji's like, "Ugh, you trainaholic. I don't know why I'm even here." why'd you drag me out here? Because, Neji, it's good to train! Naruto says, well, can't argue with that. Deku then says, Naruto? Who are these guys? Well, I don't know who, the guy in the red shirt and the guy in the bandana are, but I know who that one girl is. Her name's Hinata. Hinata Hyuga. Hi, I'm Hinata. Yeah, Naruto, and these other two are Rock Lee and Neji Hyuga. Oh, that's cool. Nice to meet you. Uh-huh. Sure. Neji, nice to meet you too. I'm Rock Lee. Yeah. I was told that. Nice to meet you. I'm Izuku Midoriya. And I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Oh, that's cool. Well, you want to train? Sure. This is when Deku activates 10% of One for All. Everyone's just amazed by this because like he's creating a whole bunch of wind. And then Deku creates 20 shadow clones. Alright, Deku, if you're gonna do that, then I gotta do it with you. And Naruto also makes 20 shadow clones. Rock Lee and Neji are amazed by this. This is when Shikamaru's like, oh, what a drag. Now I got 20 more of you to deal with. This is when the Deku clones start sparring, and some of the Naruto clones start sparring with the Deku clones. This is when Rock Lee comes in and starts beating up all the Neji clones that's training, because Naruto's clones challenged him. Hinata's just sitting there watching. This is when one of Deku's clones in One for All 10% asks, hey, Rock Lee, I think I remember. What's your quirk? Well, I am actually quirkless. Deku is just surprised by this, but he's not gonna bully him for it because, you know, he was quirkless too. Oh well, I'm sorry to hear that. No, do not be sorry. Being quirkless makes me stronger. Because I just have to train I just have to train with my physical strength. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool how you made it into UA as the first quirkless person. Yes, it's truly amazing, isn't it? Uh-huh. Well, what's your quirk, Neji? Well, my quirk is Byakugan. Basically, it allows me to see through walls and see people's points of their quirks. You see, basically, everyone has quirk points. They're basically points inside their bodies with the energy of their quirks, which allows their quirks to work. I can't really do anything with Rock Lee here because he doesn't have a quirk. But what's yours, kid? I'm pretty sure we're the same age, but my quirk is Chakra. Basically, I have this flow of energy in my body that allows me to manipulate it to do a variety of things. But I also have, it appears I have two quirks because my other one is a strange energy quirk that makes my physical strength, that boosts my physical strength it boosts my physical strength depending on how much I use. But the more I use, the more it'll damage my body. That's why I have to train to control it better so it won't. Oh, well that sucks. Yeah, that sounds like a drag. And then this is when Deku says, hey, Hinata, I believe it was. What's your quirk? Um, Mine is the same as Neji's. Oh, well, that's cool. So, are you three more UA transfer students? Yes, I am. Yes, we are. I guess. Yeah. Oh, well, that's cool. Well, they spend the rest of the day training, and after this, Deku and Naruto go back home. They sleep again, and this is when they go back to the training grounds. This is when they go back to the training grounds. Oh, sorry. This is when they go back to the training grounds. They walk through that same street, jump that same fence, and they're back. But this time they see three more people, except this time it is not the same people as last time. It's the only same person is Shikamaru. And those people were Sakura and Sasuke. So Deku would be like, again, more people that Shikamaru knows that I don't know. This is cool. Naruto would be like, oh, Sasuke, Sakura, what's up? Oh, it's the loser. Hey, Naruto. Hey, what's up, guys? Oh, it's such a drag. You're here again. You know I always come here for training, Shikamaru. And me too. Oh god, that sounded like an anime lolly or something. And me too. Yep, that's right. Just don't get in my way, losers. Oh, well, we haven't been properly introduced. I'm Izuku Midoriya, and you are? Sasuke Uchiha. I'm Sakura Haruno. Nice to meet you guys. Well, what's your quirks? Mine is Chakra, and this also other strength enhancing quirk. But Chakra just allows me to do a whole bunch of different tasks with them. Whether it's breathing fire out of my mouth, or making wind balls in my hand, or even clones. Oh. Well, mine is called Sharingan. It's basically something in my eye that I can, you know, that allows me to predict movements, and I can gain it, make it stronger. And mine also allows me to use lightning. So there's this one move I call Chidori. Oh, I also have a lightning move I call Chidori. Oh, that's nice. I just have a quirk that allows me to heal people, but it also kind of gives me super strength. Oh, that's cool. So are you guys transferring to UA too? Yeah? How'd you know? And this is my third day of meeting people Naruto and Shikamaru knows. Cool. Well, I'm a UA, I'm a 1A member. I'm an already student. Oh, well, that's nice. Well, anyways, we gotta go. Or actually, no. So they train, and everyone leaves throughout the day. Even Naruto and Sasuke, they go back to their, they go back to their house, they go to bed, blah, 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 blah. So the next day, there still are more Naruto characters, but I just don't feel like going through the days of the week to introduce them, so I'm just gonna introduce the rest all at once. So, yeah. Basically, it's Monday. It's Monday, and it's time for them to go to school. So Izuku and Naruto are leaving to go to school. When they're on their way to school, they stop by the training ground to see if anyone's there. No one's there. So yeah, as they're on their way to school, they finally, oh crap, sorry. Well, they finally make it, and so our new teacher's name is Kakashi Hatsuke. His Well, I'll let him explain his quirk. I am Kakashi Hatsuke. My quirk is Sharingan. It allows me to see your movements, and I can level it up or whatever. I can also use lightning and water type things. So that's that. And I'm your new hero class teacher. Nice to meet you. Everyone's like, well, he doesn't look as bad as Mr. Aizawa. Yeah, I guess he doesn't, but hopefully he's not as harsh as Mr. Aizawa. Everyone just agrees and stuff. Well, I guess I'll let the new teacher announce our transfer students. Okay, kids. Well, let's see. Come on in. These are our transfer students. Sasuke Uchiha, Ino Yamanaka, I forgot Gaara's last name, Gaara, Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, same with Tamari, Samari, I don't even know if Sai has a last name, Sai, Neji Hyuga, Hinata Hyuga, Rock Lee, and Shikamaru Nara. Now there are enough open seats for all of you. Go find one. So, since I have a whole entire new class and a whole bunch of new students to the class, we'll be performing tests. Everyone will be split up into groups of 5, and I'll test you each individually. Group 1, Rock Lee, Neji Hyuga, Tamari, Shikamaru Nara, and Mina Ashido. Team 2, Ino Yamanaka. I forgot his last name. I'm just gonna call him I forgot his first name, but Aoyama, Tenya Ida, Shoto Todoroki, and then Jiro. I forgot her first name too. Team 3, just blah blah blah. I'm just gonna make up teams. Team set, just none of the other teams are gonna be irrelevant. Just this team right here that I'm about to say. Team 7, Izuku Midoriya, Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and then Bakugo Katsuki. Katsuki Bakugo. Alright, everyone meet me at training ground, or testing ground, A. So, Team 7, I have 4 bells. You have to obtain these bells, and the one person who doesn't get a bell doesn't get lunch. Meanwhile, everyone else does. And I forgot to mention, they get expelled. This, scares everyone, but not as much because Aizawa also did it. Oh, come on, he is like Aizawa. God damn it. I had to get paired up with these nerds. Damn losers. Can't believe I'm on the team with them. I can't believe I'm on the team with Sasuke and Deku. Oh yeah, so I forgot to mention, someone wanted me to, because obviously Deku is the reincarnation of Sasuke. And just, to clear things up, the Sasuke and Naruto, and every Naruto character introduced in this is, just this universe's, Naruto character, alright? Just to clear a couple things up. Alright. So, basically, someone wanted me to give, since Deku's the reincarnation of Sasuke and Naruto, someone wanted me to give Deku, like, a fangirl group. So I'm giving Deku and Sasuke a fangirl group. So, yeah. Sakura is part of both. I can't believe I got paired up with two best guys in one group. That's amazing. Meanwhile, there's Naruto and that raggy kid. I can't believe I'm on a team with three of my friends. That's amazing. But then there's this douchebag. I don't know who he is. Alright. Now that you know your objective, you have 5 seconds to run. Everyone scatters. Sakura tries following Sasuke, but she loses him, so she ends up following Deku, who was going into the bushes with Naruto. Meanwhile, Bakugo just flies off with his explosions. Deku's like, alright, Naruto, we have to devise a plan. With the team, the only way we can make this work, I'm gonna try and get me, you, and Sakura a bell. Sasuke and Bakugo can just fend for themselves. I know they're strong. We've trained with them before. Well, you haven't met Bakugo, but you haven't met Kachan, but he's kind of selfish and mean. But anyways, here's the plan. Knowing Kachan, he'll try and strike first. So we'll wait for him to strike, and after he strikes, me, you, and Sakura will both run out from different directions and jump him. All of us will each try and take a bell. If this doesn't work, we'll come back, meet up, and make another plan, right? Scatter. So they all end up scattering, and Kakashi's just sitting there in the middle of everything, reading his book. This is when Sasuke activates the Sharingan to see what he's going to do, see what Kakashi's going to do, and Deku also activates the Sharingan because Deku has a 3-2. Deku also has a Mangekyo that he unlocked during training, but he's only used it once while training. So Deku starts activating a little bit of One For All because he sees Bakugo, and then Bakugo blasts off with explosions. Kakashi realizes he might have to use his Sharingan, but not right now. He feels he doesn't need to right now. So he basically just grabs Bakugo's arm because he tried to reach for a bell, and slams him on the ground. But as he's grabbing his arm, Naruto, Deku, and Sakura charge. Deku's using a little bit of One For All and his 3-2 Sharingan. Naruto makes around 200 shadow clones. Meanwhile, Deku does the same. After Kakashi slams Bakugo on the ground, he realizes what's going on, so he waits for everyone to come up. Naruto and Deku's clones are about to reach for it. This is when Kakashi just uses substitution jutsu. This is when, after this is when, Sasuke comes out, because he knows where Kakashi went, and tries to catch him by surprise. Sasuke catches him by surprise, surprisingly, and, snatches a bell. Just barely, though. But right after he snatched the bell, Kakashi didn't realize it, but he kinda did. So he, grabbed Sasuke's neck and threw him across the battlefield, all the way, smashing and breaking a tree. So, yeah. So this is when Deku's using his Sharingan. He locates him, sees that a bell's missing. There's only 3 bells left. He says, "All right, we got me, you, and Sakura. We have to get those bells." This is when Deku, Naruto, and Sakura start charging. Same with Bakugo. But Bakugo didn't even know they were charging. He just went to go for the charge because he found out, because he was able to locate Kakashi. Kakashi sees he's being jumped, so he wants to see how strong these kids are. So, Naruto uses Shadow Clone Jutsu, making 20 Shadow Clones. Same with Deku. Deku's going as fast as Bakugo, because the Sharingan makes you faster and stronger, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, Deku's going pretty fast. Same with Bakugo. Deku's on Bakugo speed, because he's using 10% of one for all in his legs, but just in his legs, and he's trying not to break his legs. But yeah. So he's going, and he ends up jumping. But this is when Naruto uses his clones to launch him and Sakura forward. So Deku ends up jumping, but he hits a branch, so knocking him back. And one of Deku's clones goes to get Kakashi, and his clones are actually pretty strong. So Kakashi knows he can't just mess around with him. So Kakashi closes his book and then goes to fight his clone, because Kakashi he kind of knows it's a clone, but doesn't know for sure. This is when Bakugo, Bakugo, Sakura, and Naruto all catch a bell at the same time. Which means Deku doesn't get a bell. This saddens Deku, but Deku kind of gets sad that he's gonna get expelled. But then again, he thinks it might be a lie, just like Aizawa. He thinks it might be a lie, but then again, he doubts it. He hopes that it is. So Deku gets tied up to a tree, and Kakashi gives Naruto, Bakugo, Sakura, and Sasuke lunches while leaving Deku there. Everyone hears Deku's stomach rattle. Everyone hears Deku's stomach rattle. So this is when, Naruto feels bad, so he ends up feeding, Deku some of his lunch. This is when, Sasuke feeds him a little, but all he does is puts it on Naruto's plate. He says, "I'm not gonna feed him, you do it." And the only reason I'm doing this is because you can't fight with a teammate who's on an empty stomach. Naruto's like, "Agreed," and he's letting me stay at his house, so I kinda, alright, Naruto. This is when Kakashi comes out. He's like, well, what are you doing? This surprises everyone, and they all jump back. You know what? You're all expelled. Which, everyone's, kinda sad at this. Bakugo's, hella mad. He's like, what the hell? I didn't even feed that damn bastard. This damn nerd. Oh, you guys are damn bastards. I didn't even do anything, damn it. This is when Kakashi's like, I don't like your attitude. You want to try and take me on one-on-one? This is when Bakugo's like, no. Then Kakashi's like, alright then. And then he starts laughing. I was joking. He all passed. Deku's like, what? I thought I was gonna get expelled. Same with everyone else. No, you guys use teamwork twice. Mainly, Katsi is gonna have to do extra all-night training, but besides that, you guys did it. Well, we'll go back to homeroom. We'll actually stop by the nurse's office and then go back to homeroom. Alright, everybody says. So everyone's back at homeroom when Aizawa was like, alright, here's the announcement. I already told you guys once, but in case you forgot, the sports festival is tomorrow. Be ready. Alright, so this is when I'm gonna time skip to the next day to when it's the sports festival. So at the sports festival, they would announce the events, and the first one would be the race. So Class 1A is released, and then midnight says go. Everyone starts going. Deku is using a little bit of one for all in his legs with the Sharingan to make him go faster and anticipate anyone else's moves who tries to, knock him out of the way. So, Gaara is just riding the sands, while, Shikamaru possessed someone to, carry him on their back, because that fits because he's lazy and it's also effective. So, once they get to the 0-pointers, Todoroki still tries to freeze everyone like in canon, but this time Deku just breaks his way out with one for all, and then Naruto just uses two shadow clones, and then he uses a Rasengan to break himself out, and then everyone else just breaks himself out normally. And Deku is I'd say in third place behind Bakugo, and barely behind Bakugo and Todoroki, just barely. And once they get to the rope thing, Bakugo and Todoroki are still flying over it, and then Deku doesn't know how to get by it at first, but then he remembers. I'm gonna say he learned chakra jumping from in Shinobi Sheki, but then Deku remembers he can walk on walls and he can chakra jump. So he just chakra jumps over the whole thing into the middle, and then chakra jumps again. And this is where they get to the minefield. Deku doesn't know what to do at first, but then he thinks of an idea. He can just hop on the giant ice thing Todoroki was creating, and just eventually use one for all to break it all down. Thus dropping Todoroki into the mines, and then he could use Todoroki's body to launch himself over Bakugo and into the finish line, which is what he does, and he ends up getting first place. So, when he gets first place, it's on to the Cavalry battle, which Deku doesn't know who to pick at first, but then he has a plan. So first he goes to Naruto, thinking that having double the amount of clones could be useful. Obviously, Naruto agrees because they're basically best friends. Then he goes to Tamari. Tamari's quirk is she can make a giant fan from air, and then she can like blow air every making tornadoes. So he convinces her to join. She joins because she thinks it'll be a challenge to you know she joins because she thinks it'll be a challenge to have the $1,000,000 headband, or 10,000 points, I think it was 10,000 point headband. So after this, so after this, Deku wants Rock Lee on his team because his techniques that he knows, so and his amazing physical strength, he can use that. He can use that, to defend him in case anyone gets to his headband. Rock Lee agrees because no one else would really take him because he's quirkless. And then he tries to get Gaara on his team because he thinks Gaara's sand Gaara just has normal sand manipulation, by the way. So he tries to convince Gaara because he knows Gaara has that self defense thing with the sand. He just can't convince Gaara, so he ends up giving up. And then he thinks of a backup. Maybe if he can get Ochako, if anyone tries to steal his headband, she can touch him, and Tamari can blow them away, while Naruto and Deku Shadow Clones just go and take everybody else's headbands. So they do this. So they try to get Uraraka, and she agrees. So it's time for the cavalry battles. So they do as planned. They get the clones to steal someone's headband, which Naruto, or not Naruto, but Deku ties over his headband that he's already wearing. That's 10,000 point headband, so the 10 points covering it. So at this point, everyone knows that Deku is, so only the people who weren't paying attention, don't know. So it's still kind of an advantage. This is when it's about to end, and this is when everyone's charging for Deku's headband. With Bakugo, Deku, with Bakugo, Uraraka is just able to touch him, and Tamari fans him out. She also ends up fanning Todoroki, but he's still on display. Todoroki's like 2 inches away from grabbing Deku's headband, both of Deku's headbands, when Rock Lee uses a leaf hurricane and basically just blows Todoroki off, and then the match ends. Team Izuku Midoriya is in first place. Now it's time for the tournament. So first match is Naruto versus Shinso. So basically, Naruto would be warned by the tail guy not to talk to him. So at first Naruto wouldn't talk, and he'd make about 200 shadow clones. They'd all be charging up Rasengans. This is when Shinso would start insulting him, and then he'd insult his parents. This would make Naruto mad, and then he'd yell back at Shinso, "I bet they were great. You don't know anything." Shinso would then smile, but then he'd realize he doesn't know which one said that. And this is when Naruto would start walking out of the edge, but all of his other shadow clones would quickly rush towards Shinso right before, he could, get Naruto out of the stage, and he would be hit with a Rasengan barrage, launching him out of this arena. So that is the first round. Now, the second round is Sasuke versus Gaara. And I have all of this planned out too. So, basically Sasuke, Gaara would just rush towards Sasuke. He'd try to use a sand coffin, but Sasuke would break out with Chidori. And Sasuke has just the normal one Deku right now. So Sasuke would go and he'd basically use a Chidori, and he'd Chidori through Gaara's sand and getting through his, making basically a hole in his side, which would knock Gaara unconscious from the pain. But Gaara would severely damage Sasuke, so Sasuke would pass out right after that because of the sand that was guarding him. Alright, next match. Tamari versus Ochako Muraka. So, yeah, I'm just gonna say Ochako has no chance. Basically, Tamari would just make a fan out of air, and then just immediately blast her out of the stage, send her flying off. Tamari would win. Alright, Bakugo versus Ino. So I'm just gonna say Bakugo wins. Ino, basically hers is mind transfer, but still she needs help with it. And she has some combat, but not a lot. Bakugo wins. She just blow her up. So, yeah. Todoroki versus Furabi. So, how this would go is basically Todoroki wins. She'd try to stick, Todoroki would just do the same thing he did with Zero and just blow her up with giant ice roller thing. Neji versus Hinata. So they both activate their Byakugans and go rushing at each other. They both use their, Neji would just use 8 trigram 60-foot palms, and then he would be about to kill her. And this is when all the, because he's taking out his rage from being mistreated, and then this is when all the teachers would step in. But Neji wins. Shikamaru versus Deku. Shikamaru would try to, get him under his paralysis, but Deku would just be rushing at him with one for all and a Sharingan. And then he'd also be having a slight chibi enhance. So just imagine a Sharingan, but with the QB slice in the middle, Alright. Well, he'd be rushing at Shikamaru. He tried to make a shadow wall. Deku would just jump over it, and then as he lands and he's about to hit, he's half a second from hitting Shikamaru, and Shikamaru hits him with his shadow paralysis. And Shikamaru knows he has no chance of winning, so he moves out of the way, moves, because he can't really move, so he just tilts, and then Deku just almost flies out of the ring. He catches himself right before he does it by making a shadow clone, who pushes him back up, and then he makes a Rasengan and just Rasengans Shikamaru, knocking him out of the ring. No, not knocking him on the edge. And then this is when Shikamaru's I give up. So yeah. Alright, Rock Lee versus Sai. So Sai's quirk, by the way, is just art. Basically his ability, whatever he draws, just kind of like that one guy from Black Clover. I forgot his name, but the captain of the Great Ear. Or no, it wasn't the Great Ear. It was something else. But yeah, that one Magic Knight captain. So Sai would draw a bird that would come soaring towards Lee. Lee would jump on top of the bird and then jump off, and jumping towards Sai. Sai would then make a tiger, hitting Lee, almost bringing him towards the edge. But Lee would use a leaf hurricane, knocking him, just destroying the tiger. He would run towards Sai. Sai would make a just barrage of animals. Lee would be just barely be able to dodge all of them, and then he'd hit Sai with an 8 trigram, not an 8 trigrams, but a leaf hurricane, and then just Sai would go flying out of the ring. Rock Lee wins, but just barely. Okay, Naruto versus Sasuke. So basically what would happen here is they'd both go immediately. Naruto would make like 500 shadow clones, and they'd all go rushing at Sasuke. Sasuke would make a Chidori. Chidori threw most of them. Naruto and Sasuke would get in a taijutsu fight, and they'd just be, fighting taijutsu like a lot. This would go on for like about an hour, and then they're finally basically almost to their max. So Naruto starts charging up over Sengon. Sasuke starts charging up a Chidori, and then they go and do the classic Rasengan Chidori clash. But they don't each lose arms. Alright? They just break their arms, just all their bones break in the arm they used. So basically Sasuke just barely passes out first, and Naruto wins just because he didn't pass out. Well, he did pass out, just Sasuke passed out first, just because he passed out last. So Naruto just barely won. So it's Temari versus Bakugo. Alright, so Temari would just try to blow Bakugo out of the ring. She'd almost be successful, but right before Bakugo hits the ground, he'd use his explosions, start flying. He'd fly towards Temari. Temari would be using her fan, trying to blow him back, but it's only making him slower slightly, just delaying him. But he eventually gets to her and just blows her out of the ring. Bakugo wins. Oh, sorry. Alright, Todoroki versus Neji. Neji would run up at Todoroki. Todoroki would make a small iceberg. Neji would just barely dodge it. And then this is when Todoroki would just make another iceberg. Neji would just barely dodge it. And then right as Neji gets up to Todoroki, Todoroki just makes a giant iceberg, and Neji's knocked out. He gets out. Well, he's not knocked out, but he's trapped. He just barely gets out by trying to use an 8 trigram 64 bombs, and jumps on top of Todoroki. He blasts him with that giant iceberg that he hit Zero with. So yeah, Todoroki wins. Alright, Deku versus Rock Lee. So Deku again would charge up, not his QB this time. He would charge up his Sharingan and start charging up Rasengan. He knows how dangerous Rock Lee is, and he knows that he has to get taken care of quickly. So Rock Lee would be running up. Deku would try to use Rasengan on Rock Lee, but it just barely grazed him, as Rock Lee would be trying to flip over Deku. So he'd fall on the ground. Deku would realize he didn't hit him. Deku would be running back, but it's too late. Rock Lee already got up. He'd use a Leaf Hurricane. It hit Deku. Deku would fly to the edge of the ring, but Deku just barely gets up this time using QB Chakra and Sharingan. So he'd be running, and Rock Lee would try to use the Leaf Hurricane. And Deku would just dodge it, and he'd just punch Rock Lee, and then use a Rasengan, blowing him out of the ring. But Deku is severely damaged. He wins just barely though. So Deku wins. Okay, Naruto versus Bakugo. Bakugo would immediately start rushing towards him with explosions. Naruto would counter this by making like 800 shadow clones. They'd basically just jump Bakugo. Bakugo would be eliminating large groups of them with explosion. The ones who were hiding behind the others were all charging up Rasengans, and Bakugo was like surrounded, by the way. So then they all jump at Bakugo using an Uzumaki Rasengan barrage. So yeah, Naruto wins, but just barely because like he's literally about to die because like I forgot to mention, but like when Bakugo was rushing over, he was able to hit Naruto with an explosion. But yeah, Naruto just barely wins. Todoroki versus Deku. I set this all up because I wanted a Naruto and Sasuke fight, and I still wanted that Todoroki Deku fight to happen. So yeah. So Todoroki would start shooting giant icebergs. Deku would be able to use One for All and break the ice and like break most of the icebergs. This is when Deku would give him the whole speech, telling him he has to. But this time he'd be like, Todoroki, you have to use your fire, or else you're going to lose. You aren't going to prove anything. It's your quirk, not your father's. He is not going to be able to use that fire. Only you can, and no one else. So this is when Todoroki would be using his fire, and he'd basically burn Deku. So Deku would basically be running up. He'd use a Chidori. Todoroki would block it with ice. It just barely, evade. So yeah, Todoroki would just barely evade, and then Deku would use a Rasengan. Todoroki would be hit, and he'd fall. He'd be at the edge of the ring. He'd use a giant iceberg on Deku. Luckily, Deku was using a fireball, so like he'd be in like a small little crater that melted. He'd be using One for All, and he'd break out of that small little bubble crater or whatever he was in. And then he'd go to Todoroki. Use a Rasengan. Todoroki would almost be out of the ring, but he'd use an giant iceberg to launch him back. Thus, like using another iceberg which would launch Deku out of the ring. But Deku would it launched Deku to the very edge. Todoroki would be running up with his ice, and then Deku, would just barely. He'd try to use a Rasengan, but Todoroki would dodge and punch Deku off the ring. Todoroki wins. Alright, the final fight. Naruto versus Todoroki. So Todoroki would immediately shoot a giant iceberg. Naruto would make around 800 shadow clones. So they would crater him around, they would launch him over the iceberg, but just barely. And how big the iceberg was like Todoroki's like little foot iceberg compared to the arena right there. That's how big it was. So there was just that small little bit of space that the clones would launch actual Naruto over. Naruto would hit Todoroki with the Rasengan, but the Rasengan, Todoroki would make an ice wall blocking his path, shoot a whole bunch of fire at Naruto. Naruto would be burnt, but he'd use his shadow clones and do a Rasengan barrage. Todoroki would cradle himself in ice and then melt the ice with his fire, and then do a giant iceberg, which Deku would just barely be able to dodge. But right as he dodges it, by a giant blaze of fire would be going towards him, which would cause him to stumble back because he's literally being burned alive, and then fall out of the ring, which would make Todoroki stop, and Todoroki wins the tournament. So everyone's congratulating Todoroki on first place. Naruto and is being congratulated by all his friends on second. Same with Deku. And all of Deku's fangirls, which would be Uraka, Mina, Ino, what was it? Sakura. I actually forgot her name for good reasons, and all his fangirls. So, and then the invisible girl. So yeah, they would all be like cheering for him and stuff. Same with all of that. And this is when Ito would get a call about because like Ito didn't make it through because he wasn't on Todoroki's team this time. And so yeah, but this is when Ito would get a call from his from the thing saying his brother was attacked. And this is where I'm gonna end the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Hope you all enjoyed. So, this was What If Deku was a reincarnation of Naruto and Sasuke, Part 3. Part 4 will be coming out soon. And since this was like an hour upload, I might not upload today, but I might upload. It just depends on how I'm feeling. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed. Hope you leave a like, and maybe if you're feeling extra generous, maybe even subscribe. I don't know. It's free, and you can unsubscribe whenever you want, so, yeah. But anyways, without further ado, see y'all later. Goodbye.